Afternoon, 8th grade. Today what we are going to do, today is what is today's day? 30, 29, 20, 27th. We are going to do multi-representation. You learned how to recognize a function and whether it is not a function, multi-representation, big word, of linear functions. Okay, so today what we're going to do is we're going to target specific functions and how to show the multi-representation of all of them. And I'm going to be on page 26. Okay? All right, I am so excited about this unit because actually we're getting into algebra. Multi-representation. Hi, Mr. Skinner.
Hello.
Of linear functions. Always have a title. That way you can recognize it when you're using your table of contents to come back to that subject. All right, so last year, actually this is a review, but we're going to go a little bit deeper with it this year. Today what we're going to do is we're going to focus on three representations, okay? We always have an equation. We always have a table. You can have a verbal as well as a graph. And each one of these are interchangeable. They can represent the same concept. Let's keep it out here. Like this. Our goal is to be able to go back and forth from each one of these fluently, okay? You can also go from a graph to a table or from an equation to a verbal, okay? And so the beauty of it is in 7th grade you were introduced to this, but we're going to take it one step further. Today I want to focus on given an equation, how do you determine the table and how do you determine the graph? So I'm going to provide an example. My equation is negative or y equals negative 2x minus 1. I really want to make sure that you are using your calculator. The negatives and positives will kind of stump you and they'll confuse you at times, but if you rely on that calculator, the mistakes won't happen. So when we go from an equation to a table, I usually have, and I'm going to add, normally you just have this T-chart right here, but I'm adding this because this is my function part. This is, I'm going to draw a little, and we did this, remember, on the video. This is what happens when you put in your X and out comes your Y. Okay, if you need to freeze it, and so it goes in, and then it comes out as your Y. Well, what does that mean? So for this equation, I can pick any variable. I can pick any x. I can pick 100, I can pick 1,000, but for the sake of my graph, I want to limit it to some basic numbers that are close to the origin, because remember on a graph, I know I'm kind of jumping ahead, but you have an origin. If I use numbers like 1,000, I'm going to be way off the graph, and I don't want to do that, because I can still represent that line or that linear function with the smaller numbers. So I love to pick 0. I love to pick simple numbers. You can just do 0, 1, 2. I can skip a number if I want. I can use a fraction if I want, but nobody wants to mess with those yucky numbers. All right, so how many points do you really need to graph it? Yeah, you only need 2 points. Let's put that down here. You only need 2 points to graph, okay, from that equation. All right, so what I do, remember that my y is equal to, and I rewrite this expression, so negative 2, I'm going to use parentheses, and I'm going to substitute 0 for my x minus 1. If you put it in your calculator, any number times 0 is going to give you 0. 0 minus 1 is going to be a negative 1. Now I'm going to, that's right, continue. I'm going to substitute my 1. I rewrite the whole expression, and now negative 2 times 1 is negative 2 minus 1 is going to give me negative 3. Same thing. So negative 2 times 2 is negative 4 minus 1 is negative 5. And you start to see a pattern, don't you? So what am I doing? Yeah, negative 1 to a negative 3, you're subtracting 2, aren't you? Do you see something over here? And we're going to self-discover that on Friday, okay? You should start to make a correlation because this we touched on it briefly last year. Okay, so all we're doing today is we're practicing with that equation, putting it in a table, and then placing it on a graph. So all we need are 2 points, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plot 0 and negative 1. Remember that your x and your y, and you always walk to elevator, which is your x, before you go up or down. Just a way to remember that sometimes even Ms. Kowalski gets confused when I rush. You know, the first number is always your x, okay? In an ordered pair, always remember that you're moving left and right. Okay, so if I have a 0, negative 1, my 0, I'm not going to go anywhere, and then I'm going to go down, and my point is going to be right there, because this is my negative 1. Now I'm going to plot 1, negative 1. So I'm going to start at my origin, and I'm going to go to the right 1, okay? And then I'm going to go down 3. So 1, 2, I have a negative 3. And I'm going to go over, and then 1, 2, 3. Sorry about that. I'm going to make these bigger. So this would be a negative 1, this would be negative 3, negative 2. All right, with those 2 points, I can make my line. And I'm going to use the good old-fashioned pen as my ruler, and I know you're not going to do that. You're going to do it so professionally, make it beautiful, go right through. All right. I'd love for you to start making some correlations. We saw a pattern. Look at where it's crossing the graph. And as you work today on the independent work assignment, really pay attention to, well, why is that? Why? What are you starting to notice? Okay, because I want you to have that, now I get it, especially by Monday, okay? Because remember, we're going to start matching the verbal with all of these, okay? Let me show you your homework or independent work. Today what you're going to do, really just expanding upon what we just did, it's already numbered for you, so it should make it very easy. What you may want to do, it did not provide you the area to work in the middle, so what I would do is pick your numbers. You do not have to do all 5. Do not need 5 X's. Okay, just pick. So look at this. Pick an easy number, just like I said, a 0. Okay, I could pick a 1. I could pick a 2. All right, what about down here? Uh-oh. Looks like they already gave you the X's, so what I would do is just pick 3 of them. Do you like to work with negative numbers? No, then pick 0, 2, and 4. But what I want to point out is, why did they skip the odd numbers? And here's why. When you have a fraction, I want to be able to get rid of that fraction. And so by picking a number to multiply that is a multiple of this denominator, I end up canceling it out. For example, half of 2 is 1. Half of 4 is 2. And so I end up removing that fraction, okay? And from here, you should be able to plot the graph. And the same thing on the back. And remember here, you're going to want to have multiples of 3. So you might pick 0. A multiple of 3 would be 3, and I'll let you pick the last one. And on the back, the same thing. Here they give you the points. Go ahead and list them. And I want you to, how would you find out if this is the equation to that line? Think about substituting some of the values. Does it work? Okay, and the same thing below. Really all we're doing is we're practicing those ordered pairs, table, graph, and the equation, working back and forth, because they all represent the same thing. So to the right, we need to find out which ordered pairs are solutions to the given equation. And you can have more than one answer. Okay, so for example, how would I find out if this is this part of that line? Let's find out. So A, if my equation is y equals 2x plus 3, that means that this ordered pair, my y is negative 5 equals 2 times negative 1 plus 3. And I solve it. 2 times negative 1, negative 2 plus 3. What is negative 2 plus 3? You have a calculator. That's right, 1. Does negative 5 equal 1? No. That is not a... So in other words, that ordered pair is not an ordered pair for this linear function. Okay? And you keep on going. And what you're looking for is when it is equal, that ordered pair satisfies the equation. It means that it's on that line. Okay? And you'll do that for all 4 of those. It's not that much. This video was only about 12 minutes, so this work should probably take you about 30 minutes, which is appropriate for the day, so you shouldn't have any homework. But if you do not, you need to have this completed this evening. Okay? I will see you tomorrow.